Bruce, how's it going? Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Pretty good, looking sharp, man.
Hey, thanks. How's
Yeah.
your day?
Oh my God, I'm out here in Vegas for a few days.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, today, and I'm heading down to Sacramento tomorrow. But yeah. What's the weather like up in Illinois?
It's hot. We had like 90, 94 today.
What? In
Yeah.
Chicago?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really humid, hot. It'll cool down tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I think.
Yeah,
But
that's unseasonably
yeah, it was a
hot, right?
record high.
Wow, it's not even that hot here in Vegas. Let me let some of these folks in. Here.
But it wasn't pulling up all the emails. Now I got them. Okay.
Gotcha. Let's see. We're gonna give
Good
guys
evening, everyone.
another few minutes, about another minute here. Folks are still dialing in.
Great.
You get the idea?
Someone needs to go on mute.
I think they did. I think. What's the weather in Vegas?
It was, it's not really that hot today. I mean, it's not 94 like Chicago. Today it was, I think 75.
Okay.
But toward the end of the week is supposed to be back over 100. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to workshop number 2 as a part of the workshop series for the America's Teen Mogul National Competition. We're excited today to have a guest speaker, Mr. Bruce Harver. And Bruce Harver is a good friend and business partner of Nick Cannon, a former business partner of Nick Cannon. Hopefully we'll get the chance to do business together in the future. But I wanted to just take a minute just to introduce Bruce. Bruce was former executive of Radio Shack, former Motorola executive. We met Bruce a few years ago when Nick was the chief marketing officer for Radio Shack, and the chief creative officer. Nick was the chief creative officer, and Bruce was the chief marketing officer, and
merchant.
Chief merchant. Yeah. So I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself. But so today, what we want to do is to talk a little bit about the importance of doing market research when you launch a business. you know, very vital that you understand the market that you're going to be entering. You also want to make sure that you know that market is going to be viable over the years, and that's a market that can support your financial projections. So you definitely don't
Is
want
anybody
to.
else having,
Yeah.
hey, Ronnie, I think you're cutting out unless it's just me.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see here.
Is anybody else having Ronnie cut out, or is that just me? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
it's cutting out a bit.
okay,
Okay. Is it better now, or
yeah,
hopefully with just a second? I'm gonna shut up here in a minute. Let Bruce talk. But but anyway, so I'll turn it over to Bruce Harbour, and you know, people are still dialing in, and I'll just be letting folks in. But anyway, so Bruce, it's all yours.
great. Well, thanks, and thanks everyone for showing up tonight. I want to first congratulate all of you. I mean, the fact that you've entered the competition and taken the time out of your busy schedules to attend these workshops and get your plan together to present, I think is awesome. I want to congratulate you, everyone for doing that. And it's a great, hopefully you'll find it a great learning experience and a fun time. We judge a couple of the competitions in the past, and they've always been, really high class, very well done, great projects. Some of them I think even went on a bit further. I don't know the current status of them, but I know some actually went on to actually not just doing it as a presentation, but bringing it forth to the marketplace. One thing from my side, and I think, Ronnie will echo this, we did it last year when we did this, I'd love this to be interactive. I don't want to just sit up here and talk to you for an hour. Most interested in where you guys have questions or things that might be on top of your mind. I'll certainly give a couple of thoughts to open up, but definitely want you guys to weigh in and kind of, share both your thoughts or any questions you have. I think with that, Ronnie, anything else
No,
that we should touch on before we dive in, or?
I think we can jump on in. It's about 6 minutes after now. I wanted to at least give 5 minutes to let folks, and I think we're good now.
Great. Well, let's go ahead and get it started. We'll again leave it up to you guys how you want to do it. I think market research. I think we have two topics today, which is market research and partnerships. I'm guessing, given the stage that you guys are at, the market research piece is a little bit more pressing and urgent. The partnership piece, by the way, I'm a huge believer in and happy to talk to that. I've done a lot of partnerships over my my time in the business world. I just starting up a new business idea or whatever, getting a partnership or getting a valuable partnership can often be tricky. So, but maybe you guys will prove me wrong there. A little bit about market research. Has anybody started doing market research for their project? No. Okay. Does anybody have any idea kind of why you want to do market research, or what's the benefit?
What your competitors are?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Comparing your product to what your competitors are providing.
Excellent. Very good. Yep, for sure. I mean, when you're doing market research, you're going to get an idea of, what the competitors offer and hopefully gaps in that offering, right, that can help you improve your own product offering. Go ahead. Anybody else? There's definitely different phases of market research, right? So the first phase, once you kind of identified your idea and the kind of market that you want to go after and maybe did some rough sizing on it, the first phase of market research is going to be a lot around probably, is there a need for your product or service? And if there is a need, what is that, what problem are you solving, or what opportunity are you solving for the consumer? And that, of course, is extremely important because what do you guys think? You know, there's probably two common problems with a new business idea and why they fail. Does anybody know what the two most common are? Okay, one of them is there's not a need. So it may be a very interesting idea, but there's not a need, or certainly there may be a need for a very small percentage of people, not enough to turn it into a business. And so, you know, the business will get started and they'll realize it doesn't really appeal to a big enough audience to make it valuable. Anybody want to guess what the second problem is? Or second, you know, kind of big thing? Yes, go ahead.
No want,
I'm sorry.
like no want.
Yeah, so no, you know, I think what you're saying is no need, you know, people don't really want it, don't value it. The second big issue is that it kind of gets to the next phase where market research can be helpful, which is, you know, the execution, right? So you may have an interesting idea, but if in your initial research, you haven't tried to kind of corner in understand who it is that has that need or who might want your product and why they might want it, you can do, you know, in my old consulting days, they called it boiling the ocean, right? You could be out trying to target everybody, you know, in your state or your city or whatever. And of course, wasting a lot of resources and time because you haven't identified up front who it is that wants your product, right? Very, very, even if your product ultimately may appeal to a very broad brush, when you're typically starting a new product or new idea, new service, you want to kind of have a focus, right? You want to identify through your market research, where do you think you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck when you start out, you know, in terms of investing. Build that product out, you know, from its very first initial offering into other ideas. So those are the, like, most businesses that fail because of those two. But there's really not a need, you know. And by the way, the need could be that it's already solved, right? So unless you're going to out execute the market incumbent, who's probably much bigger than you and much better, you're going to end up not succeeding. And then the second thing is they waste a lot of time and resources at the beginning because they're out trying, you know, they didn't in their initial market research identify who it is that, you know, would want the product. So it's great to say that. So anybody have any ideas of how you might do market research around your product or service to identify, to both, you know, see if there's a need and identify who might be most interested?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bruce. And there's different, I want to say that, I mean, there's different methods for doing market research. I want to know, does anybody familiar with the different types of methods for doing market research?
Oh, I think we lost you, Ronnie.
One thing.
Oh, hey, Ronnie, we lost you. You said there's different methods and then you cut out.
Yeah, my internet signal here at the hotel is not that great. Apologize for that. But go ahead, Jacob.
All right. One thing my company Aladdis was doing was on our website, we had a survey that had people like fill in what type of education they were doing and how they were using the online learning.
Excellent.
Awesome. That was one of the methods I was going to say, is that surveys. You know, surveys is an excellent way to, you know, to get real information from potential customers or from, you know, from your market. So surveys is certainly a very effective way of doing market research. Yeah, we're still kind of
technology nowadays. You know, you have things like SurveyMonkey and all these other methods to go and reach out to a broader group of people. It's a very good, surveys is a very good thing. Another good one is observation, right? So particularly if you're offering a product or service where you can observe people, you know, either giving it to them and watching them try it out and see how they use it or what they do with it. is a thing, or just going, let's say you're going to offer a new service for restaurants, and just going out to the restaurants then and starting to observe how people are handling the situation that maybe let's say it's a service for the restaurants, how your thing is going to help that. Near term, and probably more very practical for many of you, is to obviously maybe do some activity at your school. That could be a mix of surveying and observing, or with business organizations in your area. So I do some coaching with Northwestern around, they have a program for entrepreneurship, and in a lot of those cases, the teams that do the projects go around to different businesses in Evanston and Chicago to do, to kind of go talk to business owners, do questionnaires, and really understand, kind of start to try to identify, as we said, the two key things. What's the product offering they want to offer? And is there a need for that? I think, it was mentioned earlier, I think Jacob, you mentioned earlier, also during that process, and it's an important piece that, while you're doing these surveys and whatever, you're going to learn about your competition. And that's very important. So when you guys are doing your presentations for the product, one of the things the judges are going to want to know is, hey, who else is out there doing something similar? And kind of why is what you're offering going to be better, right? A sub point of that's important, if you can get to it. I've seen presentations that are really good, they get to this level. They also start to look at pricing, right? So how are you going to actually price your offering or product into the marketplace so that, and this is a common fallacy, by the way, just so you guys know. I've seen a number of presentations in my life where the group goes out and they ask their friends and family. Anybody want to guess why that's maybe not always the best approach?
Because it's biased. I mean, if you ask your friends and your family, that's like most likely they're gonna do what you really want them to do. They're gonna say what you want them to say. That's bias.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Tell you
And so
what you want to hear.
Yeah, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. And by the way, typically when people do friends, and by the way, it's not that you can't do friends and family, don't get me wrong, but you should really try to include a broader group so that you make sure you're getting some good, honest feedback. And it's typically in that process too. If you just imagine if you just go and ask friends and family about it, and then by the way, you don't tell them the price. Well, who's not going to want to take, if it's free, yeah, of course I'm interested, right? Probably in pretty much almost anything that you're going to present to me. But once you start to say, well, here's what I think I need to price this at, right? And that, that is a very important piece to kind of gauge from your audience.
Yeah. You can join the conference.
Oh, did somebody have a question?
LaShawn, did you have a question?
Okay. This guy. It's adults on here too, this guy.
LaShawn, can you mute your microphone?
Does anybody else want to guess another? There's one other mistake that I see a lot. So I want to bring it up on this call just to hopefully help you guys avoid it. Does anybody else know what another very common mistake, particularly with questionnaires, that happens? Similar.
Asking leading questions.
Exactly.
Did you say leading questions?
Asking leading questions, right? So writing the question in a way where you're kind of driving the person to answer the way you want them to answer, right? So should be, I don't know how many are familiar with the concept of having a hypothesis, and then you go out and try to prove or disprove that hypothesis, right? Same with when you're starting a new product idea. You want to basically go out there. You don't want to just look for information that confirms your bias or what your thoughts, which is, of course, you love the product or you love the service that you're creating. You really need to make sure that you're structuring those questionnaires in a way that, you're getting an honest feedback from the person, right? So if I say, hey, which would you rather have, Pepsi or the most amazing soft drink ever created that creates all the, well, of course, people are going to pick the second because if it's the most amazing drink and it has all these health benefits and blah, 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 they're going to pick that. So just when you're doing your market research, be very careful to, try to look at your questions, maybe have a person who's not as biased as you to read the questionnaire before you start going out and giving it to other people to answer, just to see if there's, if they feel there's any bias in the way you've worded the questionnaire.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I think I'm looking at the questions that we kind of had in the outline. I think we've addressed at least most of them. So why don't I just stop there and see if there's any questions you guys have, or Ronnie, if you have anything else you think we left off on this that we should touch on as it relates to the market research.
Yeah, I just want to say that, or ask, okay, so we talked a little bit about, what are some, I want to talk a little bit more about mistakes that you can make, and does anybody else have any other ideas of other common mistakes when doing market research?
Yep. Hey, Ronnie, we got mistakes you can make, and then it dropped, and then we just heard market research at the end. So what was the question?
Yeah, I this internet. Yeah, just common mistakes that are made while doing market research.
Sure. Does anybody want to take some guess at some other common mistakes that occur? I would suggest, well, I'd say we've talked about two. One is, just doing friends and family. That's a common mistake. Two is biased questions. The third one I would say is also, again, maybe, especially when it's a new product or service idea and you're trying to define where the biggest interest is having too narrow of a group that you're reaching out to, right? So I saw this recently in a presentation. It was a concept for a new online plant services, business opportunity. And one of the issues that they had is they only went and spoke to people who were very highly enthusiastic about plants. And they didn't include people who were more on the moderate and, or by the way, not interested. And the reason that was a problem is if their customer segment that they were targeting wasn't just the highly enthusiastic, right? So you want to make sure that when you're doing the survey, that it's also matching up to, when you go to your business plan, it matches up to who you think you're targeting and what you're going to be targeting about, right? Because again, they in a sense got a biased response because they were talking to people who are already very knowledgeable about the space, very knowledgeable about what they needed, and their target segment was actually to be broader, to actually try to bring and help people who weren't that super knowledgeable. I saw somebody type something, and I'm sorry it bounced off before I could read it.
Someone says, how important is branding such as naming and intellectual property protection in early market research?
Sure, great question. And that kind of gets into, well, let's break those apart because they are two different things, right? So on branding, I would say, the branding piece of it shouldn't necessarily, in the early stage of market research, shouldn't actually be super important in most cases. As you get further along and you kind of refine your topic idea, if you want to start testing, names, you certainly can do that. That could be part of market research. But I think, I always like to use the example, and I'd be curious if you guys have any thoughts on this, but who would ever thought Uber was a great name, right? Right? Just off the surface, it's like, yep, it's short, it's 4 letters, it's good. But until they created the perception of car sharing and what that means, and being able to have somebody pick you up in their car, Uber itself doesn't mean a lot. So that's part one. Part two on intellectual protection really depends. So if as part of your initial process, and it'll get maybe to the second topic we'll talk later about partnerships, is you want to go in and potentially partner with, like when I was at Motorola, right? People are always writing, wanting to come in and tell us about this product idea they had, and, you know, can we help them bring it to market or whatever. If that's like your concept and kind of how you're going to go to market or whatever, then you have to be careful about intellectual property, because, you know, big companies, it gets hard for them to be able to monitor that. In fact, a lot of times they may not even meet you, because, you know, an idea is just an idea. Lots of people can have an idea. So there it could be very important. But if you're just out having an idea that you've started working on it, I would argue that unless it's something you want patented, so like, unless in the discussion you're having with people, you're going to tell them exactly how your product or service is working. If you're going to do that, then yes, there could be issues down the road in terms of being able to get a patent if you're going down into deep detail. But typically at an initial research level, that's not going to be an issue, right? You can kind of lay out the concept and whatever. You just don't go down into the nitty gritty of, you know, maybe how you're using, you know, a specific algorithm within the AI architecture or whatever else to do. Okay, then you want to be careful. But overall, I would say at this initial phase, especially where probably most of you are at right now, it wouldn't be super important. But if you're ever unsure, definitely, you know, talk to if you have a friend, or you could just call up a patent attorney, you know, and kind of get their opinion from that. Knowing that, by the way, they may be a little biased, but yeah, that good thing to do.
Yeah.
Any
Okay,
other? I saw there were some more things popping up.
okay. Yeah, my internet is still, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what could happen to a business, a startup business that has not done adequate market research? They didn't do enough investigating of the market that that they're about to enter. Anybody has any ideas of what some of the things that could happen to a business that does not do adequate market research?
Isn't it something like I forgot how to say it, like a foregoing customer centric marketing model or something like that?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Could you also type, like, are you suggesting like, hey, you could end up trying to enter a market that's far, you know, it's saturated. Your idea may not be different enough, you know, to stand out. Is that kind of what you were suggesting?
Yeah, something like that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's definitely a issue that often comes up, I think, when people don't do proper research.
Yeah. Anybody else? Somebody said they could enter a saturated market.
Yeah.
That's so true. Absolutely. Someone else said that it may already be on the market.
You do market research and you find that whatever industry you want to go in, it's really saturated. Do you feel like there's still room for opportunity to grow your business?
Yeah, and that's kind of the point I was making earlier about, you know, you don't want market research, you don't want to skew the market research so it just validates what you already thought going in. That's where companies fail, right? Or new ideas fail. So yes, absolutely. What, you know, when you run into that situation that your market research is starting to point at potential issues, it doesn't mean the idea is dead or it's a bad idea or whatever else. It may mean you need to alter it, right? You may need, I hate to use this word because it gets used all the time, but if you guys have heard the word pivot, you may need to pivot, right? You may take elements of what you had as an idea, and it may be that the customer, let's say, take the plant idea that I mentioned earlier, that these people had done the thing on and did it incorrectly because they only focused on the heavy, plant buyers or whatever. That same concept of what they were doing could easily apply into other areas, right? It could apply to pets. It could apply to, you know, other business solutions or services. And so if you find that the data is pointing that the idea you have, I think the next question you want to ask yourself is, okay, can I modify this? And then you know, do some more checking to see if you can find an opportunity, you know, probably before you just throw the whole thing out. My guess is you had the idea because you felt like there was a need. And maybe it's, you know, you need to go after a different type of consumer, a different market segment, or with different services, like change the offering you have, right? I mean, if you think about Uber, actually use that as a good example, I think we can all relate to. Taxis existed, right? Taxis were in every city, highly saturated, right? In terms of lots of different taxi companies. What Uber figured out was that, you know, not only could they change the model in terms of, you know, having people drive their own cars, but they also offered a better platform in most cases, right? So the fact that you can do it all, you can track the car, you can pay for it, you know, all at once, you don't have to pull out cash. You know, there are a number of things where they went into a very saturated market, but they adapted their model to provide other services and so forth that consumers then did value from them over the existing offering. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to say that, yeah, market research is just, to me, is one of the most, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably one of the most important things you can do, you know, prior to starting a business. You know, I think one of the things is if you go into a market and, you know, you didn't really study the long-term, you know, outlook of the market. And, you know, it could be a business that, you know, 2-3 years down the road, you know, that market could, you know, things happen overnight, you know, a market can get completely wiped out. And, but a lot of times if you did your research, and you really had a very good understanding of the market and how the role that you plan to play in that market.
Cut out, Roddy.
Yeah. This thing is driving me nuts here.
But you had I think what you were saying, right, is a good point, which is, yeah, the companies that survive, even though maybe their initial idea didn't always work out exactly, and sometimes out of their control, as I think you were saying, Ronnie, right? The market shifted, you know, maybe something came, you know, the big incumbent launched a new product while you were trying, you know, as you were just trying to get launched. But the ones who've done really, you know, have done good market research up front are going to be able to adapt their business model. And if they do have some good ideas out there, they're going to be able to adapt it in a way that they probably will still, you know, succeed, you know, as a business. So I think that's an excellent point.
And in some markets too, you end up doing way better than you could have even imagined. I can't even imagine Uber when they started out that they knew it would, you know, take, you know, just blow up like it did. And
Right.
it is just overnight, you know, you know, multi-billion-dollar company now, you know. But they all start with an idea, you know, and you guys are on the right track by, you know, getting in a competition like this where you start already at a young age, start learning the tools that you need to be business owners. And, you know, market research is definitely, and even in this competition, you know, if you're presenting your business to the judges and you haven't done your research and you don't really understand the market that you're going into, the judges will be able to tell. They'll be able to tell in your presentation and in your business plan. And they may ask questions about your market. So you want to be prepared to, you know, to really be able to answer those questions.
Yeah. And you know, again, and I'll just say one last thing, which is you're kind of in phase one, but in reality, market research is something that never stops, as you guys probably know, right? Like, let's say you get your first product done. Well, then you're going to be doing market research on, or service done. You're going to be doing market research on how, you know, what should the next product be or how to expand. You might be doing market research on, in terms of your target markets. You know, you may have an initial target market, now you want to move to the next target. So whatever effort you can put in up front to define it, I think not only, as Ronnie was just saying, not only helps you in your presentation to the judges for this kind of phase one, if you want to call it, but it also pays dividends, you know, to make it part of your culture of the business or service company that you're building. Because at the end of the day, the most important person is the customer. And if you stop listening to the customer, you're done. I'll guarantee you.
Yeah.
I think somebody typed up, look at what you know, Netflix, for example, has done to or I think you put Redbox, but same, you know, to like Blockbuster, right? Yeah. I mean, kind of, you know, Blockbuster kind of got a little bit, you know, for a period of time. Don't get me wrong, they did try to innovate later, but for a period of time, they got kind of caught up in just doing what they were doing. And they kind of stopped looking at the other ideas, and that obviously over time cost them. And there's lots of examples like that. So,
Yeah.
Radio Shack being one of them, by the way. So,
Yeah, and I think you brought a really good point too, Bruce, and that is your market research never stops. You know, you do the research prior to getting into the market, but markets change, and you know, and you know, that's why it's incumbent upon you once you launch a business to always still be in research mode and learning more about your market. And Bruce used the word adapt, and you got to be able to pivot and adapt in order to, you know, sustain a business. Somebody said, what website is the best to do market research?
So my personal opinion is for you guys, social media is a great place to do market research. SurveyMonkey is one that you can use. It's free. You can, you know, go and now the problem with SurveyMonkey is you're going to need to have email addresses for the people that you want it. I think oftentimes, you know, I don't know exactly where all of you are in terms of your development. You may find that initially a lot of surveying opportunity could be using your local area, right? So going out, and if it's something targeted towards businesses, talking to businesses in your local areas. If it's one of the ones that I judged at Northwestern, they went to some of the festivals, right? So because they were doing a thing around music. So they went to a music festival and, you know, interviewed, you know, some of the bands that were at the festival as well as the attendees. So I think that's going to be, you know, kind of a way for you guys to do that. If you have a good network of people in social media and you can put something up there, that's definitely a way to do it. You know, in marketing today, actually a lot of companies I see now, they'll actually test the messaging for their product. Somebody was asking earlier about brand and messaging. You know, they'll test the messaging on Facebook. And what they'll do is they'll actually just buy small lots and pay for the ad and have, you know, different taglines that, you know, and see which one gets clicked on the most by people, and as they start to think about how to actually market their product out. So I don't know, Rodney, what other good sources have you seen from other teams in the past?
You know, I think SurveyMonkey is one that I've definitely heard. And then, you know, a lot of the businesses in the past, you know, they had businesses that actually served their student body. And, you know, so they did surveys, you know, within their schools, and, you know, social media is definitely, is probably one of the best tools right now in terms of doing surveys, but it's a lot of really good resources out there nowadays. I mean, it's just so much just on the internet in general. So I don't have any particular preference. Yeah.
Great.
So anybody else, any questions? Yeah. Google Forms. Someone said Google Forms is a good survey platform.
Okay, yeah, sure. I haven't personally used that, but yes, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Jacob, where are you from? I don't recognize your name.
San Diego. Team Lattice or
okay.
Was Ripple.
Okay, gotcha.
last year's winners.
Yeah, and if anybody, so like the Google form, if anybody has, you know, people who've done this previously and found something that works well, please either type it into the comments or share it now if you want to, because, you know, it's certainly changing. I mean, you know, not to date myself too much, but when I was probably your guys' age, you know, or talk to people, you know, it wasn't the internet was there, but it wasn't nearly at the level it is now in order to communicate with people. So yeah, it's definitely changing quickly, and there's always new sites popping up that I'm sure can be valuable to help with the research process. So probably just even Googling, you know, and looking for any new apps out there, whatever that might be interesting, could be a good idea.
Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about partnerships?
Sure.
Yeah. So partnerships, I'm just going to just say that I think it's one of the most exciting things that I've done in the past with my business, and just, you know, doing partnerships. Whether it's, you know, you partner with someone for a particular service. Yeah, going out. But there's a number of ways, you know, there's LLCs, there's joint ventures, there's a lot of different partnership tools and methods and vehicles out there. But we just want to talk a little bit about, because we did have in our guidelines, we talk about you guys establishing partnerships for your business. It's definitely something that we like to see, and we're actually going to be giving even more points to folks that are able to reach out to a business and convince them that they should partner with you in your business. I think it's an excellent way. We talk about market research, and a lot of times you may not have the bandwidth and the resources to really capture as much of the marketplace. And in that case, partnerships is an excellent way to help you achieve your share of a marketplace. But, you know, we've had students in the past, when Bruce was at Radio Shack, we had a student team that did a partnership with Radio Shack. Radio Shack had a new RV going to the marketplace, and a remote control car that was in production. And we had a student teams that partnered with the Radio Shack engineers, and Radio Shack, you know, shared the market research with them. They shared pricing information with them. And the students developed a Bluetooth stereo system to add to this remote control car. And I thought that was just an amazing way, number one, for the students to build a relationship with Radio Shack, with the school to build a partnership with the corporation. For industry engagement is one of the things that we like to see, you know, and we like to also to influence more industry engagement with the schools. But partnerships is definitely, and when you do your market research, you know, you may, you know, early on say, hey, you know, we need to establish a partnership in order for us to really do this right. But you know, you can partner with a local entrepreneur in your hometown, or with a large corporation. But you know, we like to see that. But like I said, you won't be penalized if you don't establish a partnership as a part of this competition. But we do like to see it. So.
Hey, Rodney, I would have a question if I was on one of the teams, because there are, what I see when I see companies at this stage, you know, you could call them partnerships, but they're really business relationship models, meaning, you know, take the plant startup idea that I was telling you about. You know, they win a course, and as part of their market research, they talk to some of the local plant stores, right? And then those local plant stores actually you could call a partnership, but they actually kind of came on as customers, if you want to say, right? So
Yeah.
they wanted to be able to offer something to their most loyal customers so that they didn't have to come into the store all the time. So they started promoting these things. And so it's maybe an interesting, I'm curious from your standpoint, as you think about the competition, do you see that as a partnership, or do you see that as a business relationship model, right? Because that is ended up being part of their go-to-market model was, hey, we're going to actually go work with local plant stores because we think we can give them an additional service to offer to their customer base.
Yeah, I see it as a business relationship model. I think the word partnerships to me imply that there's some financial sharing when you say partnership. You know what I mean? You can have an alliance with a company or a relationship, but not necessarily a financial relationship. So I think those are kind of different in terms of what are the goals of coming together with the business? Is it for financial reasons, or is it something that you guys just decide that you guys can do together that will not necessarily have any kind of financial commitment associated with it? Okay. So somebody says social enterprise partnership.
The important things as you think about partnerships, and whether they be a business relationship or partnership in kind of more traditional sense, I think it's important to understand as you have those discussions or start to think about who you might be with, what's the gain for both sides, right? Because any kind of partnership that is very one-sided, my experience is doesn't last. It's not, if you go into a partnership and you're basically getting 99% of the benefit, and the other party is not getting, is getting 1% of the benefit, it probably doesn't continue. Whereas if you enter a partnership and you've thought through very clearly what benefit you want to get from it for your product service company versus, what they're going to get from it, I think that's a very important, kind of thing to be able to articulate as you explain why either you have approached these people, as I gave the example of the plant, service, or you're going to approach them. And here's why we're going to approach them. Kind of what, I think to me, that's a lot more credible. It's easy to kind of make, again, using my past experience. So we did, Bluetooth eyewear with Oakley sunglasses, and there are lots of people who wanted to do at that time Bluetooth eyewear back in the day. And, what was important was there was a win-win for both Oakley and for us as a company. And so we ended up actually doing the partnership and launching the products. But I can't tell you how many, companies kind of came around and said, hey, I want to do Bluetooth sunglasses with you guys. And, they were not going to last. And so we didn't want to spend the time as Motorola, the time or the energy to do that, with them. And so I think as you think about whether it's for this project, or you go on to do partnerships where you go to work, or your product succeeds and you then start to try to find partnerships, it's really important to understand, I think, kind of what each side is going to gain from that for it to be successful and sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a few notes here that I had jotted down, that some of the advantages and disadvantages of partnerships. And one is definitely access to knowledge. You partner with someone or some company.
Lost you, Ronnie.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It usually goes out for like a few seconds. But anyway,
you back, Ronnie?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay.
You were out there for a bit.
I stepped out now.
Oh my God, we're almost done though. But anyway, some of the disadvantage, some of the advantages is, number one, you can share the risk that associated with the business sometimes when you partner with a bigger company sometimes that has more resources, has more insurance and those types of things. I got better decision-making, privacy, more partners, more capital. I also had less formal with fewer legal obligations, because you're sharing, I guess, legal resources with a partner. Some of the disadvantages are liabilities. You may partner with a company that, if you get into a financial commitment with a company and they have a whole lot of debt and they have a whole lot of liabilities, they're not as attractive as a partner. So that's definitely some of the disadvantages. Loss of autonomy. If you're, some business owners that I know tend to be control freaks, and if you're a person that likes to be in charge, and sometimes you make a difficult partner in business. So those are some of the disadvantages of partnerships. Let's see.
I would add one thing to your list there, Ronnie, which is that it takes a surprising amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean to establish a partnership?
Work. It actually takes a considerable amount of your time and the partner's time to make it successful. So you can say that's a disadvantage or advantage. I'll let you guys decide. Obviously, it kind of depends on what you're going to get out of it, but it does. Any partnership takes time, right? And as Ronnie pointed out, you got to be willing to work closely with the other party if it's a real partnership. So
yeah, and you got to be, you got to be able to share in the reward too. I mean, sometimes, some partners are the type that I'm going out. Golly. See someone else. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yep. You're back.
And I was saying that you got to be also able to share in the success and rewards. Some partners are the type, you come together for a business model or for a purpose, and you guys have, some great success, and you don't do a really good job of giving credit and sharing, giving credit where credit is due. To your partner. So it's just like a marriage, it's give and take. But I think the upside definitely, the key to it is know who you're partnering with. And and even when it's the same thing as doing your market research. You do, if you're considering establishing a business partnership, make sure you do your research and do your due diligence, so that who you're going in business with, and what their balance sheet looks like, what kind of debt they have. Yeah.
No, very true. Did I saw a couple things came across, Ronnie. I don't know if any of them are worth discussing, or are there any questions or regarding this?
Yeah, anybody has any questions on partnerships or market research?
I just had a question on how important is like reputation of your business as far forefront as far as like on their social media pages and stuff like that concerning the business?
Extremely. I think if I understand your question right, it's extremely important. I think that's what Ronnie was kind of touching on when he said you got to know your partner, you got to do your due diligence, just like you're doing customer research. When you think about partnering with somebody, you really need to be aligned on multiple fronts. That's what I mean about it. It takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of personal time and a lot of the company's time to make sure that you guys are projecting the same messages in general, right? Targeting the same people, that, especially as you become a bigger company, you've got to make sure that the brands aren't like saying opposite things, right? Because then people won't believe you, right? They'll be like, well, why these two, and your appeal, it just won't work. So I think if I understood your question correctly, it's I think as Ronnie was saying, it's as important of deciding who, like, or what it is you want to do with the other company, because I think that's very important in terms of having those things defined. It's equally important to make sure that you've done that due diligence on the side of, are you aligned? Are your values aligned? Are you, is there a good synergy there?
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, I wanted to take a quick minute and do a roll call. If let me see, if you guys could just say your name and what school district you're from.
Down again.
I just want folks to just say their name and school district they're from, starting with Jacob.
Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm from San Diego School District, Mission Bay High School, and I'm with Team Alatis.
Okay. Nova Enriquez.
Oh.
Okay. Anthony Dominguez.
Everybody who is going to try to answer, make sure to go off mute, because I think in a good way people put it on mute so they didn't.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Hi, I'm Anthony Dominguez from Oceanside, California, and I go to El Camino High School.
Oh, great. So that's Oceanside Unified School District?
Oh, we lost you again, Ronnie.
Is that Oceanside Unified School District?
Sorry, you cut out. Could you repeat that one more time?
What is it? Is it Oceanside Unified School District you're in?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Gabrion Walsh.
I'm Gabrion. Our team name is Crystal Aces, and we're from South Atlanta.
Great. Christian Nettles.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Christian Nettles. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I go to West Mecklenburg High School, and my company name is Luminous.
Okay, great. Fennell, I think you introduced. You're from Texas, right? You're a community.
Great. Hey, Ronnie.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you're out.
Oh man, this thing is the worst. Let's see.
So Christian just went.
Okay, let's see who else we got. Catherine Fuentes.
Yes, hello, my name is Catherine Fuentes. I go to Summer Biotech and I'm in the LAUSD district.
Oh, okay, great. Hi, Lanisha. Got one of our student teachers.
Hello.
One of our CTE teachers. Always good to have some of our champions on the line.
Yes. I'm from Atlanta, representing 2 teams for this year for the competition.
Great. Margaret Bokai.
Hi, I'm Margaret Boaki, and I'm with West Mac High School.
Great. Let's see if I got everybody. Adriana. Adriana Oko. Okay, Evelyn. Adriana? Sounds like you're at basketball practice. Okay, what about Aaron Pratiba?
I'm Pratiba. I'm from the Poway Unified School District in San Diego, and I'm with Sanvi.
Okay, great. If I missed anybody, let's see. There's a couple more. Zachary Thomas.
It's Zakiria. Hey everybody, I'm Zakiria. I attend South Atlanta High School and my group name is Save Us.
Gotcha. And then I think, was it Sanvi?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Sandy Parikh and I'm with Pratiba and we live in San Diego, California, except we go to Poway Unified School District and we go to Rancho Bernardo High School.
What's the name of your business?
Veda, that's the company name.
Okay, great, great. There's a LaShawn Kempson.
Yeah, that's actually my mom, but I'm Leah Kempson and I'm representing Harlem and my business is the Trap Kids Network. So it's
Okay, great. Great. All right.
I go to Professional Performing Arts High School.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of cut out a little bit. Can you, my internet is so spotty today. So are you from Eagle Academy?
No, I go to Professional Performing Arts High School.
Oh, where?
And I'm from Harlem.
Okay, well, great. Welcome. Great. Did I, if I missed anybody,
My name is Fernell Hogan, organization founder based in Houston, Texas, and I'm enjoying the dialogue with everyone and look forward to getting some teams in this competition. We're going to be representing Aldine ISD, Klein ISD, and Houston ISD.
I love it, man. Bless you, brother, man. Bless you. I tell you, man. Like I said, it takes champions like you and Lanisha and Bruce to steer these kids, man, and make them all billionaires.
That's our goal. We got to get their financial mind right.
And, you know, hopefully they won't forget about us, you know.
Throw something back to the cause. Huh? All right, thank y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, I think we're right at the finish line here.
Mr. Highsmith.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just want to check in. I'm James Ward. I'm also from the Alatis team. I wasn't able to get home before the meeting today, so I'm just in my car listening.
Okay, great, man. Glad to have you. Glad to have you.
Hello, my name is Evelyn, and I go to Summer Biotech. My district is LUSD.
Say that again.
Hello, I'm Evelyn. I go to Summer Biotech, and my district is Los Angeles Unified District.
Oh, okay, so you the guys that I think have the, is it a biomed school or something, a STEM school, I believe?
You're on it, you cut out.
Okay.
You said, are you the guys that bio and then cut out?
I think it was some biomed school or like is it a STEM school, I believe, Evelyn?
Yeah, it's a biomedical and engineering.
Gotcha. Got it. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Bruce Harper. You're always a joy to have you, man, and good seeing you again. Hopefully, you know, you'll join us in New York, man, on the 3rd. You know,
It'll be tough with my other travel, but I do want to wish you guys all. I hope this was at least a little bit worthwhile, and if you get a chance and you have other questions, you know, feel free to forward them and can always follow up if you think of something that you didn't get a chance to ask or whatnot. So, but good luck. I'm really excited to. I don't know if I'll be able to make it to the presentation, but I'll be excited to hear from Ronnie and the others about what you guys have presented. And again, you're already on the right step. The fact that you took the time to enter the competition and to join these calls, and I think there's a couple more coming up. So please join all of them, and best of luck to all of you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys Thursday, same time, same channel. We're gonna have a representative from Wells Fargo. Gonna jump on and talk to you a little bit about financial literacy and the importance of establishing banking relationships with these businesses. So look forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, guys.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.